Greetings. Welcome to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. I'm your host, Brother Willie Muhammad.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Today, we are closing out this month's focus, which was highlighting some of the Nation of Islam's up-and-coming stars. Throughout this month, we have interviewed Sister Nzinga Muhammad from Rochester, New York, Brother Rashad Muhammad from Austin, Texas, and last week we interviewed, which was a very powerful interview, like the others, Sister Aliyah Muhammad and her mother, Sister Kiana Muhammad. Both are from Houston, Texas. Our final guest for this month is our brother Goalden Chyld. With over 1,500 followers on SoundCloud, over 36,000 followers on Instagram, more the last time I checked. And also, Goalden Chyld has built a platform for himself from the ground up. So he's a conscious rapper, he's a poet, he's a singer. This young brother is using his music to uplift his people, and he's a lyricist.
Look, I tell them I'm God, no cap. Ay, they be like, how? I'm black. Look, take it or leave it. I say I'm a nigga, you ain't got no problem with that. Damn, I just adopted a new way of thinking, so I'm only dealing with facts. You know that. So y'all can get mad at saying y'all feelings, but I know I'm right and exact. I know this ain't what you used to, no. You notice that new year. Fresh out the rapper, I'm not like these rappers that talk about what they ain't do. I can't be no biggie, cause really I know that the youngins gonna do it if we do it. I gotta be big bro, just so little bro understand how King do it. Y'all done got used to that lean music. I'm only making supreme music. All of my verses, they take time. I don't just say whatever I think through it. No, this ain't gang, but I got brothers that somebody won't be stupid. But we trying to save lives, not take lives. So let's not be foolish. You can find me in the ghetto, yeah. Shot-town, young fellow, yeah. Southside bodies drop every day cause the youngins be shooting like mellow, yeah. And you can get mad at the youth, but the youth ain't got enough examples, damn. So you part of the problem if you talking about them but ain't got no answers, damn. You know you.
I sound like my brother.
Wow, alaikum salam.
Thank you for joining us. Oh, you was listen. That wasn't even a full song. You was dropping bars in that little clip,
Praise
brother.
Man,
had me over here bobbing my head, man. So we thank you for the interview, man. It's a long time coming. Let's get right into it. You know, in another interview I read of you online, you spoke about how you completed a homework assignment where you had to recite English lesson C1. As well as student enrollment. And for those who are watching in the Nation of Islam, well, not in the Nation of Islam, that's just some material that we have to study and recite as part of our registration and becoming a full-fledged member in the nation. So back to our brother. So you said that after doing so at the age of 16, you decided to recite and then get registered. So my question to you is, what made you decide to become a member of the Nation of Islam at the age of 16 after doing so?
So I was, most people don't know, I was born into the Nation of Islam. And some people think just because you're born, you're an active member. But at the age of 16, at the time, it was 16 that we were given permission to decide to join our nation and become a registered member, a registered FOI. So being in the Nation of Islam, you know, my whole life, growing up in the ranks, rolling with the soldiers, seeing the way the men move, seeing the way that the women move, you know, I was just heavily, you know, immersed in the lifestyle. You know, and I saw for myself what it was that this life and this way of life could do for a young black man. You know, we would go out into the community, see what it was that our people needed, right? See what it was that our people were in need of. And in most cases, you know, in doing our studies and reading the literature, I knew that if we were able to take what it was that we were taught and properly provide it to our people and speak in the proper language, that we had something that could revolutionize, you know, the entire world. So I just personally knew that I was already on the right side, but I wasn't official until I became a member, right? I wasn't really official until I could put that pen on and become an FOI and say, you know, nah, I'm not just, you know, a Muslim brother, but I'm a registered FOI, actively involved in the training, you know, that makes men out of boys. So at 16, it was a homework assignment we was given at MUI, right? So we had to recite English lesson number C1 and and recite student enrollment. And those are some of the requirements to actually become a registered member in the Nation of Islam. So I knew that I had the permission, like I already knew it now, you know, I can recite it. And now all I got to do is go and recite and write my letter to be able to say that I'm a FOI. You know, I said, let's go. You know, we're not going to waste no time. So that's really what made me decide, because I knew that I was already on the right side. I knew what the brotherhood was like. You know, I knew that, you know, that the fruit is the best, you know, and all I got to do is recite to become a member of my nation. It really was a no-brainer for me, big brother.
Good, man. And so at that, you know, at that young age, I accepted Islam on the college campus right around age of 19, but you know, you recited at the age of 16 and is still practicing up into your adulthood. So how did you manage your practice of being a member of the Nation of Islam with growing up during your teenage years?
Man, brother, you asking the questions, brother. It was a challenge. It was a challenge. I won't lie to you, because you young, right? You young. And I made a really, really big life-changing decision at the age of 16. And sometimes, a lot of the times, the decisions that we make around that age, you know, aren't the best decisions, right? But I was blessed, you know, I didn't really know. I felt that I was making the right decision. And as time went on, as I got older, I came into the realization that, you know, I didn't just believe that I made the right decision. I knew that I made the right decision, you know, as I continued to live life. But how I manage it, if we just going to be 100% honest, we're not going to pretend, you know, we're not going to fake, we're not going to cap, you know, as some people say. It was a challenge, right? You know, I was an FOI, but I'm a human being, right? I make mistakes, right? We're not perfect. We sin. We go through our ups and downs. So I went through the same, you know, in a lot of ways, the same challenges a young teenager go through, but it was different though. I went through the challenges with men around me, right? You know, and women around me, you know, big brothers and big sisters, to where when I went off tweaking, you know, or tripping, it was like, no, sir, we got to get you right. So it was just a blessing, because I became a member of the nation, the brotherhood, the sisterhood. I didn't make mistakes and go through trials and tribulations without direction. It was like, when I went through what it is that I went through, it was like, no, this is how you handle that. This is how you can handle that. No, don't do that again, right? And I didn't get beat up or condemned. You know, I got dealt with when I was tripping, but that was the love that shaped me into the man, you know, that I am today. So that's how that went, big brother.
And I appreciate you sharing and being transparent about that, because, you know, our journey is not a yellow brick road, man. But it's oftentimes the stuff that we learn, it helps to prepare us for the mission that we have ahead. So we open the show with you spitting some bars, some very good ones, as I said. So can you share with us, how did you first become interested in becoming a rapper?
A rapper. So, as some of you know and some of you may not know, my father is Hashim Hakeem, formerly known as Landmine, right? Currently known as Hashim Redeem Hakeem, another name H2. You know, he was the brother in the orange suit who was in the cipher with Jay-Z and DMX, backstage cipher, right? So DMX spit, you know, may Allah be pleased with our brother. Jay-Z spoke, Hov spoke, spit. And then my father came through. Like, so as a young man, listen, people tell me as I got older how monumental that moment was for the nation, seeing the FOI come through and do that. But when I was young, it was big for me as well, because that was my dad I was looking at. You know, that was my dad. Until this day, I still look at the video and, you know, I'm smiling ear to ear, you know, the big goofy smile, because I'm like, man, that's my dad. He did that. So my father was an artist. Yep, that's it. My father was an artist, hip hop, you know, always used music in a revolutionary way to uplift our people. So I saw that as my example. He took me to the studio one day. He gave me a verse to recite. I had to commit it to memory. I was too short to stand up to the mic. I was a baby boy. So he held me up and I was nervous. And he was like, you know, say it, you know, say what I told you, you know, to spit. So I rapped it into the mic. And from there, you know, that was my first introduction, you know. I think I was 8 years old at that time. Time went on, you know, and then I started taking it seriously later down the line. But it was really my father that inspired me to get into hip hop. Yep.
Your father he visited the city of New Orleans once, and just being here, when people have certain gifts and talents, man, I always try to see how we can use it to reach our people. Right. And just in a conversation, I was like, man, let's have a hip hop cipher.
Right.
A hip hop cipher study group. And it came from an inspiration of him being in the city, and we've been doing it every year. Not we did it. We just did a few of them on online with DJ Vaughn, but it was him being in him being here. He jumped in that cipher and he handled his business. So that was a definitely a big plus too. You know, man, like I work in the school system, and from time to time I bring in people to come and speak to the students. And one of the things that I've noticed is that people who rap or do spoken word, when they start off their presentations rapping or doing the spoken word, man, the children are at complete attention. And I can imagine, like you just jumped in that cipher with the video. I can imagine you've had those type of experiences as well. What is it about the spoken word, be it poetry or be it rhymes, that really just attracts the minds of our people?
Man,
from your perspective.
I mean, it's a scientific perspective you can hit it from, but if we just want to make it, you know, really plain, music is important, man. Let's just be real. You know, a lot of times when you go into hip hop or you go into music, you go into a phase of art where you connect with people because what you're talking about in most cases are real life experiences, right? You know, you're talking about what you're going through. You're talking about what you're dealing with. You're talking about the past. You may be talking about the trenches, you know, that you got to experience every day. So I believe you get the attention because as opposed to, we're going over history today, guys. You know, we're going over this science experiment today, guys. Now you talking to them on a level that most of our people can relate to and connect with, right? You go from a lot of times, because a lot of our children are disadvantaged. I just quit my job working in the public school system. But a lot of our children are disadvantaged when it comes to parents, right? When it comes to proper parenting, when it comes to growing up in a proper environment, when it comes to making sure that that young man or woman gets what they need to, you know, succeed in life. Because our children are disadvantaged, it's not a lot of times that they don't want to learn and that they don't want to be successful. What the issue is, a lot of times they can't compute and understand the way that they would had they had the proper tutelage, a father, a mother, the proper support system, and not going back to such harsh environments when they get out of school. Like if you start to see what our children are dealing with when they leave the school, right? They live an entirely different life. So when they come into school, they may not connect with, you know, a lot of the academics because they're not getting the help to understand it. But what they can understand is you having a conversation with them, right? You talking to them. So when spoken word, you talking to them. Now it's a conversation. We build it. In hip hop, they can understand that. They can relate to that. They can bounce with that. They can vibe with that. Even if it wasn't no words, you hear me? If the beat right, it's like, yeah, that's something they connect and relate with. And like you said, before we even go into the presentation, before we even go into the performance, you got their attention because now their mind is like, oh, you about to deliver something that chances are I can connect with, I can relate with. Sometimes we drop the ball as quote unquote conscious artists. We got their attention. Then you start spitting some trash and then it's like, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, for the most part, I feel like you get their attention because you speaking to them on a level that they can connect, you know, and a lot of times it's through spoken word and it's through music.
That's real, man. Just because somebody is not rapping lyrics that's dealing with shooting and killing, that doesn't always mean that the lyrics are fire. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then in addition to that, what I tell people as well, I tell people, look, man, the conscious rappers I know in the city, I said, man, you can have those lyrics, but you got to rap over some ignorant beats because it's still hip hop. When you listen to Juke, that's one of the top songs from the city of New Orleans. I'll make this point before we go on the break. Is Juvenile Back That Thing Up? When you listen to, he ain't really saying nothing. Want to be in the backyard, a snack yard, but the beat is crazy.
Yes,
and when the beat catch the ear, then people start listening to the lyrics. So we're gonna pause for our first break and we get some announcements from our sponsors. But we'll be right back with our brother Goalden Chyld, hip hop artist in the Nation of Islam and outside the Nation of Islam. This is your brother Willie Muhammad with I Have a Testimony. Peace. So we're back with our guest, hip hop artist Goalden Chyld. I want to show this clip of Geraldo Rivero speaking on the hip hop music and then get our guest thoughts after showing the clip.
For instance, hip hop. Hip hop has done more damage to black and brown people than racism in the last 10 years. When you find the youngster, a Puerto Rican from the South Bronx or a black kid from Harlem, who has succeeded in life, other than being the 1/10 of 1% that make it in the music business, that's been a success in life, walking around with his pants around his ass and with visible tattoos, or it is this whole ethos. And I love Russell Simmons. He's a dear friend of mine. I admire his business acumen. At some point, those guys have to cop to the fact that by encouraging this distinctive culture that is removed from the mainstream, they have encouraged people to be so different from the mainstream that they can't participate other than, the racks and the garments.
So we're back with our brother Goalden Chyld. So, what are your thoughts about what Geraldo Rivera shared? Has hip hop been more damaging to the Black and brown communities over the last decades than racism?
I just say this: he couldn't talk like that around me and my brothers at all. We've been done grabbed him. No, that's if we was off camera, of course. But if I was sitting right next to him, I believe it's a really idiotic position to take, to say that hip hop has caused more damage to Black people than racism has in the past 10 years. Is to say that racism and the system of white supremacy is not the reason that hip hop sounds the way it sounds today. You understand what I'm saying? Let's not do that. But I would have dealt with it much more graciously. Like, we got to understand, music is used as a tool to express what it is that you're dealing with, to express the current condition, to express and release, sometimes the pain and the hurt and things that you're experiencing in your life, or just express the happiness, the ups and the downs. So when you listen to hip hop, right, which in most cases is promoted and advertised through media that is owned by our enemy, right? When you listen to hip hop, a lot of times they go and take young Black men and young confused Black women and prop them up, right? But before they made the song, they were living in a reality, right? And in an environment that conditioned their minds to say, this is what I want to talk about today, right? Them dealing with death, right? Them dealing with murder, them dealing with fathers being locked up, dead or in jail, right? Them dealing with mothers that are strung out, right? Alcoholics, you understand what I'm saying? Them not having the proper parenting, as I talked about before, to make sure that they go to school, get the information they need, come back, the parents sit down and teach them how to learn and adequately understand and comprehend what it is they're being taught in school. All of that is as a result of racism and the system of white supremacy. So when a young Black man who's confused and a product of a system that our enemy has designed sits down and creates music telling you about what he's experiencing every day, you don't look at him, right? You don't look at the result of the problem that you've caused and blame the victim. You got to go back to the enemies, right? Who do the dirty work and hide their hand. Whether he knows it or not, right? He's contributing to the system of white supremacy by doing what they've done for years, blaming the victims, blaming those who are suffering as a result of the system created by those who do the dirty work and hide their hands. So that's what I would say to him. You want to talk about hip hop sounding, that's a problem, right? That's a branch problem. But if you want to go to the root, right, we're going to sit in front of some of these rich white executives, right, who sit down in front of young, confused Black men and women and say, you know what? I like what you're talking about. I like your following. I like your brand. Knowing good and damn well, excuse my language, that they talking about killing one another. They talking about murdering one another. They talking about rape. They talking about the degradation of Black women in our community, degradation of our community, devaluing their own women. And you sit down as a rich white executive, knowing good and damn well you wouldn't have any of your own kind creating music like this and you put millions behind it, but you sit in front of ours and you say, you know what? We want to make you a millionaire. We want to make you a superstar. You hear what I'm saying? That's the problem. That's a main part of the problem that a lot of time we overlook. Some of us in our own community, quote unquote, conscious brothers, some of those from other communities that don't understand what's really going on in the trenches, you want to blame the young brother. You want to blame the young sister. But if you telling me you're going to put millions in my pocket for telling you about what I actually deal with every day, and you think I'm going to turn that down, knowing that the condition that I'm living in right now is hell on earth, You hear what I'm saying? You gotta it's not to blame the young brothers and the young sisters at a certain point. First, we gotta hold those accountable who have designed and orchestrated this system, deal with them, and then we can start working towards repairing our own, or do it simultaneously. Teach your own, but you definitely gotta deal with the enemy, right? And some of these people, man, you know, when you figure out how wicked and crooked they are, I get passionate about this, brother. How wicked and crooked they are, there is no patience with them. There is no, oh, I understand. You want to deal with them in real life because it's their wickedness that contributes to the baby girl getting shot, right? It's their wickedness to fathers being removed from our communities and young men not having proper role models. It's their wickedness, you know, to single mothers having to raise children in single parented homes without the adequate means to properly raise a young black man and a young black. It's them. So all the pain you dealing with, right? Sometimes we only know how to blame those in our immediate surroundings, and those in our immediate surroundings look like us, but they're not the root. It's those who do the dirty work and step back and said, oh my God, this doesn't make sense. Hip hop has caused more damage to the black community than racism has in the past 10 years. No, sir.
Beautiful, man. Yo, listen, keep it. And I want you to be your authentic self, man. Yo, that was a drop the mic response right there, brother, by Allah's grace and permission. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, but that you answered that perfectly. And so, you know, I was reading another, it was the same interview I mentioned earlier that I read online that you did, and you talked about how you take the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and you put them in your music in a way that people can easily digest. Can you explain how you use that process, that process of you doing that?
In a way that listen, I tell people all the time, you can want to do as much as you want to do for your community. You can want to change it overnight. You can want to revolutionize it. You can want to beautify it. But if you're not in the trenches, right? If you're not in the community, if you're not amongst your people, if you don't go amongst your people, have those conversations, learn the language, learn what it is that they're dealing with, right? To feel, right? You got to feel, right? What it is that they're experiencing, right? And then you got to listen to them talk. We go into the community telling them what we going to give them and what we think they need. No, listen to them. Let them tell you what they're dealing with. Let them tell you what they've experienced. Let them tell you what they believe they need in their community. And then you make the proper adjustments. So when it comes to making music that people can relate to, I believe a lot of times, quote unquote, conscious artists miss out on the ability to connect and relate because either you done got some knowledge and you forgot that you was just in the trenches yesterday, that you was just ignorant yesterday, or you was never in the trenches. You done got some information and now you want to help your community, but you don't know how to relate to them because you can't speak their language, right? You don't know how to talk to them. You don't know what may trigger them. You don't know what may upset them. You don't know why they don't want to squash the beef. You hear what I'm saying? It's a reason a lot of them talking about we ain't squashing no beef. To hell with squashing the beef. F squashing the beef. Don't bring that over here. You know, it's painful. You hear me? I know personally, I'm going to just be 100% honest with you. If somebody killed my brother, the first thing I'm not talking about is, come on, man, let's stop the violence and let's come together. That's not what's on my mind right now. You took my brother, man. You know, you don't know the relationship that man had with his brother. That's my brother, right? That's my sister, right? That's pain you talking about, right? But the reason a lot of times it becomes difficult for them to even consider stopping the violence is because they don't know who's the root of the violence, right? And that's what I'm working on right now. When you know, you think that he your op over here across the street, right? You think he the problem, right? You think, bro, you know, right up the block who claim a different set, a different gang. You think he's the primary problem because he the one that robs you. He the one that killed your brother. He the one that finessed you, took advantage of you. But you ever ask yourself why when you go to all the trenches all across America, all the trenches look the same? You ever ask yourself why all across America, these black men beefing with these black men over here, right? Because of this is the set that I claim and you rep something different. You ever ask yourself why, you know, we all living in food deserts? Why I gotta travel 10, 15 miles to go get some decent food? Why is it all identical all across America unless it was by design, right? And who's intelligent enough to put together systems and structure systems and economies and societies to ensure that you don't win? We've been made ignorant. We've been stripped of the knowledge of ourselves. So I feel like The root of that is getting them to understand who their real enemy is. Right. And then boom, from there, then they can assemble and say, yeah, okay, maybe we can squash this beef for a second. I'll get to that later. Let's go deal with the real enemy.
Definitely. Let me get this last question in before we go into the break. Since you're talking about violence, like you live in Chicago, you know, and you're aware of the violence that is plaguing some of our neighborhoods there and around the country, because the violence is not just in Chicago as well. But speaking about Chicago, do you believe that hip hop music could be used to help reduce the violence in that city? If so, how? You got about 3 minutes if you can answer that.
I believe it can. The same way, you know, it helped enhance the violence, because you can't just say hip hop music started the violence. Nah, we was killing each other and murdering each other before the Chief Keefs and all of that, right? But the Chief Keef, he enhanced it, right? You put it on social media and now you glorify this lifestyle. He enhanced it, right? So the same way it was used to enhance, right? We can use music to, I don't know if de-glorify is even a word, but make our children and men and women look at this lifestyle as something that we don't need to be involved in. But if you go and do that, you got to understand them first. It ain't no, hey, you need to put down the guns. Y'all need to stop the violence. Y'all need to stop killing each other. Y'all don't make no sense. You create music like that, you're just going to get more resentment because you're speaking from a perspective, whereas you don't understand. But if we had these conversations, if we understand, if we able to dialogue, if we able to be balanced men and women and start to work towards solutions in our music, once a man know that you love him, once a woman know that you really love him, they're able to listen to what you're talking about. They say, we don't know how much, we don't care how much you know until we know how much you care. And once you start to establish love and implement love and care, then start to work towards a solution, our community all get on the same page and say, we're not doing this no more. Anybody else that wants to continue furthering the degradation of our community, once the community is on the same page that we're not doing it no more, at that point, it go from, you know what, we're trying to be, to no, we got to deal with you. We got to deal with you, because now the babies got to suffer. Grandma got to suffer. The women got to suffer. And we saying we don't want this no more. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I feel like. If we use music in that regard, then yeah, it can do a lot to reform.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful, beautiful responses. And I love how your responses are balanced and they don't get, you know, sometimes our responses can be so utopian that we're not factoring in reality, and we're not factoring in real circumstances that people face. When we go back to our home, they still facing that, you know, and that affects how they're going to navigate. So for those who are watching, I know you're enjoying this video. Tag this interview, tag other people and tell them to get on, because we're approaching our next break. We got like another 30 minutes, but our brother is bringing that smoke by Allah's grace and permission. So we're going to pause for some announcements from our public sponsors, and then we'll be back with more with our brother Goalden Chyld. You know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan consistently works to redeem rather than condemn our people, as shown in this clip.
And don't feel bad about nothing I'm saying that seems to point out a negative, because you are not that. Circumstances cause us to do lots of things. So I'm not dealing with what circumstances have caused us to do and the way we live. I want to deal with the real you that's sitting up under the face that you present to the world. You know, like we mean mug each other. You know what I mean? There's no gentle warmth, you know, because we're afraid to show any kind of compassion or humanity, because they might think I'm a punk or something.
And that's one of the things that makes the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan so beautiful and effective. So in our conversation online, you mentioned that you've had the opportunity to meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on several occasions. Can you share some of those encounters and the impact that it has had on you?
I only met the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan a handful of times. I believe the first time that I met him, I was performing at, and it wasn't just me that met him. It was really a group of artists in the nation that met him. And he was just telling us to keep doing what we're doing, and that he felt like the nation was in good hands. you know, considering the type of music that we was making, and really just seeing the mindset that young members of the Nation of Islam were in terms of the music we was creating. That was one moment. He says, you know, I know that the nation is in good hands. What else? What was the other time? There was another time I was on post doing security, and was another group of young brothers, and he told us to shoot beyond the stars, right? You know, for your, with the goals, your dreams, your aspirations, shoot beyond the stars. You know, go beyond the stars. You know, because sometimes we can think small. It was like, no, beyond the stars. And then there was one more engagement, actually at the farm. No. There was another engagement where it was me, my brother, a brother named Montana 300. That's an artist out of Chicago. And my brother had actually brought Montana 300 to meet the minister. And I don't recall, you know, the exchange, because he wasn't necessarily talking to me. He was talking to the brother. But it was along the lines of encouraging the artist. The minister understands the importance of the artist. And I feel like it's imperative that us as a nation and as a community, we understand how we need to get behind our artists. Those that know how to speak the language, the music can be the fuel, you know, to start this cultural revolution and paint the visions in the proper image and ideal reality around what it is that we can do. And once the artists paint the vision, then the people move out like, yeah, you know, he painted it so clear. Now I can see, right? Then there was one more time at the farm where and I hate to paraphrase, you know, what he was saying was along the lines of, we don't treat anybody a particular type of way just based off the color of their skin, you know, regardless of what race or ethnicity they are. We don't treat them anyway based off the color of their skin. It's the actions and the deeds, you know, that allow us to come to a conclusion as to how we'll deal with them. And I just thought that was powerful and pivotal. I mean, when you hear the minister speak, some people may feel some type of way, but he's speaking about those wicked ones amongst us in any community that we in, you know, and if they wicked, they need to smoke, you know. So yes, those are the only times I recall, you know, meeting the minister.
But even those times that you share are filled with Jews, man, that we can actually learn from. And it's interesting. You mentioned one of the local rappers there in Chicago, Montana 300, which brings me to the next question. How, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he has met with many of the popular drill rappers, quote unquote, in Chicago, right? And many of them have spoken about him in favorable terms. You know, despite the minister is almost approaching, I mean, he's over 80 some years old, and these young brothers, they love him. So from your perspective, you know, what is it about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that despite him being older, that these rappers who are part of the drill music, you know, they still have so much respect for him and they listen to what he's saying?
Because it's really not about the age. How much do you love your people? That's the real question. You know, when you really love your people, you're patient, right? You don't judge, you don't condemn, you don't beat them up, as he said, for the decisions that they make in circumstances that they didn't ask to be born into. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of the artists, they come listen to the chief, because you may go somewhere else and they say, pull up your damn pants. It don't make no sense y'all living like this. But the chief see the God in you. He see the beauty in you. And that's what he pull on, right? So in any environment, when you don't feel like you being judged and condemned, but you being loved and you being coached through what it's going to take to become a better man, you able to sit down and you listen. Like, yeah, you know, I feel like I feel like you care about me, right? I don't feel like you trying to make a clown out of me, manipulate me, take advantage of me, because I didn't have no control over being born into this reality, right? But when the chief come, now it's like he gives them an opportunity to make a decision to change, because I get it, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. I understand. So I feel like he always going to have that respect. And all of us should look at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's example. If we want to revolutionize our community and get into the minds of those young brothers and sisters that may be ministers to society, stop being so judgmental, you know, and condemning them for the decisions that they make in a society that was designed to ensure that they were either dead in jail or illiterate or non-productive. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like that's the reason. And more of us can be like that. That's what I'm striving to be like.
No, that's a beautiful example, man. And to know that and strive for that is a great thing, because, you know, some of us try to replicate the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's dress, his hairstyle, his glasses, his tone, but it's really his spirit that we need to, and like what drives him to do what he does. And as you mentioned about his example, you know, this title of this show is I Have a Testimony. If you had to stand before the world and select at least one quality of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that you would testify to the world about, what would that quality of him that he possesses that you would choose to testify about before the world?
You said just one, brother. Come on.
I know it is. I know, man. I just thought about it. It's just what comes to your mind. I know that's hard. Which one comes to your mind? Patience. Okay. Talk about that.
Patience. That's heavy, man. That's heavy. Patience. Listen, because you got to love and patience. You got to have love and patience to teach and work the way that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been working for years. And still see some of us not follow instructions, not listen, be niggardly, go back and do contrary to what he said, talk down on him, try to drag him, throw him under the bus. You got to have real love and patience for your people to deal with the black man. You feel me? To deal with your people. So I would say love and patience, because in the minister's patience, I've seen his ability to where, you know, somebody rub us wrong. You know, come on, man, I'm done. Somebody talk crazy talk crazy about it's like, yeah, you know, we through with them. But the minister has been patient, love, patience, and understanding. And in his understanding, I've watched, you know, what the minister's works and words have been able to do to transform a man over time. I heard the minister said, I never wrote nobody off, right? You know, because you never know where a man or woman is going to end up, right? So it take a perfect love, man, and a different type of patience and understanding to deal with your own people that condemn you, talk crazy about you, throw you under the bus, not follow instructions, and still get up every day and go to work for your people because you know what resides inside of them. So, yeah, those three qualities.
I love your insight, brother, and I love that, man. And that is everybody doesn't see like that, and everybody doesn't understand the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan like that. So that's a blessing to continue to keep developing in that way. What would you say has been the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's biggest impact on you personally?
I'm gonna lie, man. I think it was my parents. My parents. I'm certain it was my parents. It was what they were able to do for my parents that ensured that my parents raised me up in this teaching, right, to be the man that I am today. You know, I always say, because I already, listen, I'll put it like this. Before I came to Muhammad University, right, and before I became a registered member, I was already on the path of being dead or in jail. I was already on the path, right? But before I was put into Muhammad University, right, and when I was put into Muhammad University and when I became a registered member, you know, that's when I started to immediately notice the change in my life, right? And I was raised, you know, up in the nation. But it was just like, you know, it was certain seeds that was inside of me that didn't blossom and didn't grow until I submitted to the process. I would have to say it was my parents, because like I said before, like I was in public school, you know, I was tripping, man. I wasn't all the way there, you know, but it was the teachings, man, and my parents that kept me on the straight path. So I got to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you know, for what he did for my parents to make sure that, no, you're going to stay on the straight and narrow, but man.
That's beautiful, man. And you know, brother, that's all a part of our journey. You know what I'm saying? It's like Mary J. Blige did the interview on the Breakfast Club, and I got the opportunity to watch the documentary. But what I realized is that, yes, our sister has caught hell in her life, and you can tell. But if we remove the hell that she caught in her life, we may not have the Mary J. Blige that affects millions of women. So it's like, we want to, you know, like the minister often said, we want the crown, but we don't want the cross. And I think Kanye West on one of his songs, he was talking about, he said, I gotta testify. Ironically, it's called I gotta testify. He said, it's funny, the same wrongs helped me write these songs. You know, and that's the thing, because one of the things that made Tupac so relatable is because he talked in a way where people was like, man, that's what I'm going through. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm going through. So look, we're going to go to this break. We're going to go to this break and we're going to be back to finish this interview off with our brother. So for those who are watching, make sure you all hit the subscribe button on NNV News Network. Also, make sure you share this link and invite other people to catch the last 15 minutes of this interview. So this is your brother Willie Muhammad. We're going to pause for some announcements from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with our dynamic guest, our brother Goalden Chyld. So if you have not had the opportunity to hear the music by brother Goalden Chyld, please take some time to do so. Here's a clip from one of his songs titled Born Targets.
So psychologically, they making your brothers your rivals. Babies having babies, can't no baby teach a baby. So the youngins grow up lost. This by design, they make us doubt hope that anything will change. So we remain in this train of thought that make us think the hood is for us because we down low. When a man pushed to his limits, yeah, he's dangerous. And we're pushed to our limits every day out here. It hurts a man to know that he got children and a wife, but the system make it hard for him to get paid out here. And as a man, we're obligated to make a change out here. But the change we make depends on what's in our brain up here. And a lot of us aren't educated on the way to use our brain to make a living in the non-illegal ways out here. And they know that, so they give us drugs to sling out here and take this here, cause it ain't safe out here. You'll need these guns. See, they supply, but we're the ones locked up. See, it's a scheme, it's a plan on us, my brother. Wake up. We're born targets, cause if you kill the man, the woman will follow. And losing your woman is losing your nation, so they hate to see her behind us. So they take away fathers, either put them in prison or kill them for nonsense. But we rarely fight back, cause we don't believe that we're born targets.
Wow. Fire.
Hey,
You're a dragon, brother. So I'll start off with this question. You know, from your perspective, how can young Muslims who are around or in your age bracket help to continue the Nation of Islam in the future? And what would that possibly look like from your perspective?
Thank you for this question, brother. Because I always think about things along those lines. I'll say this: accept your own and be yourself, man. Accept your own and be yourself. I'm speaking directly, to the young Muslims in the Nation of Islam. Do that, right? It's a challenge. This world has a great pull on us now, right? A strong pull on us, so much so that we have what God brought to us, but the devil has made his world look so much more attractive that we leave what God gave us and say, this is what we want, right? Accept your own and be yourself. Anything worthwhile and anything of value is going to come with a difficulty factor, right? So to accept your own and be yourself, it's worth everything, all the challenges that come with accepting being a Muslim, accepting being a soldier, accepting being an FOI, accepting being an MGT, right? It's worthwhile. The reason I say accept your own and be yourself, because there is no furthering the nation, right? There is no, propelling the nation, into the future in the way that it needs to be done. If we want to be like this old world, the nation, right, is put into place to establish God's kingdom here on earth. You hear what I'm saying? God's kingdom, right? This world is going out. So you trying to hold on to this while God's kingdom is coming in, you're going to be left behind. There is no getting around that, brothers. So accept your own, sisters, accept your own and be yourself. And what that looks like when I say accept your own and be yourself, it's not easy, but you got to find a way to make your Islam attractive. Let's just be real. We taught to put a clean glass next to the dirty glass. We're not condemning the dirty glass, just put a clean glass next to it. And anybody in their right mind see a dirty black glass of water next to a clean, sparkling glass of water is going to choose the clean glass over the dirty glass. What we got to do is figure out how not to condemn the dirty glass, but to live righteously, be an example, get money, good homes, friendships in all walks of life, be spiritually balanced, but do it righteously. Because that's difficult most times, a lot of us fall away from it. Nah, it's easier to do this over here. But I'm telling you, if you put your time and your energy and your effort into being an upstanding man, an upstanding woman, a decent man, a decent woman, a proper FOI, a proper MGT, it's not going to be easy trying to figure it out. But when you figure it out, how to properly submit and be that man, I'm telling you, man, there's so many blessings come with it. So that's just my message to the young brothers and sisters. And it took time for me to get to this point. But after seeing, what happens when you go the other way, they say a hint to the wise is sufficient. Some of us gonna have to get chastised. I saw enough hints, to know that, nah, this is where I want to be.
But see, what you said is so profound, and I think that that's one of the sayings that we just stay on the surface when we say accept our own and be ourselves. Some people stop at us being just original, man. No, but who are you as a person? You see what I'm saying? And we can't be afraid to delve into, what do you like? And then your expression of Islam and how you put the work in. But if we don't want to delve into that, well, we're going to end up being just copies of somebody else. And then as we get older, we look back, man, I wasn't being myself. Well, that's your fault. You should have been yourself. Should have had the courage to be yourself. And you mentioned something earlier, and I want you to talk about it a little more in depth because it's key. You talked about how important for us as a nation to get behind our artists who will put out quality music, because I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. Everybody who have saying that they wearing the FY uniform or headpiece or have the minister's quote in one of their songs, that's good that you have it, but everything ain't of the same quality. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's just how I feel. But when you have people like yourself who have a proven track record of can handle themselves on that microphone, what can we as a nation do? Like some specific examples for those who are going to watch this video, this interview, of how we can better support you all in your efforts.
Brother, I want to thank you for that question again, brother. You got all the right questions, brother. Praise be to Allah. Because listen, brother, it's a question that needs to be answered, and it needs to be answered in detail, but I'm going to do my best to answer it as quick as possible. First of all, a brother said to me, the revolution may not always be about money, but the revolution is always going to cost money, right? And that's real. This stuff costs money, man. It costs money. Let's just be 100% honest with you. We may not have to spend the same amounts, elaborate amounts, but if we think that we're going to do this without funding, come on, knock it off, right? And then you talk about the other tools, right? You may have a manager. Like this is my thing. When you don't accept your own and be yourself and get behind your own, you find yourself chasing everybody else when you got the jewels in your own nation, right? And yeah, I just want to leave it at that. But we need funding, man. We need funding. You need financial support. You need managers, right? And even if you don't got any of that, share your brother's music, repost your sister's music, put it out there, right? Now you can't, some people may say, I'm making righteous music, and you may expect for it to get shared, but it may not be of a certain quality, so it don't get shared. Don't blame your nation for that. Go back and get better. But funding, and then, we got to just come together and find out all the tools that we got to properly promote and advertise and market, a project and music. But I keep saying funding because I put it like this. An artist just recently said, and I didn't know this until I came into this information, to break one record independently, it costs $250,000. All right. We have a nation. We have a community. You hear what I'm saying? The messenger said unity will solve 95% of our problems. So me by myself trying to go get $250,000, yes, I can do it. I'm a God. But the nation can do that instantaneously. The community can do that instantaneously, right? So you want to put the proper funding behind your artists, make the proper connections and relationships. People that could help put this brother in position, but because you're not getting behind your nation and you want to be on with everybody else, you don't build your own. We got to build our nation, work within our nation. And sometimes the connections that we need may be outside of our nation, but you got to present yourself as a nation and as a soldier for you to be respected when you come to anybody else. And that's just all I would say, man.
That's a fact, brother. Because I say sometimes, like when we're talking about doing something and you don't have, there's no discussion about the role that finances play. That's mystery God. That's a fact, because money plays in our, and it was the brother from Memphis, the one, him and somebody else recently said it take about $250,000 to break. And he was saying not an album, but one song. And I love how you said, for those who are watching, the least that we all can do is when we come across their material online, hit the like button, heart it, share it, send it to the other people so we can begin to start building up their stream so they can also generate income to begin to start doing things. And as we get ready to close, this other question I want to ask you, how can people access, is a two-part question. How can people access your music? And are you working on any other new projects right now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am. You can access my music, goldenchyld.com. Both of these websites take you to the same site, goldenchyld.com, GOALDENCHYLD.com. Yeah, that's it. That's it on the screen right there. You can just click that. Or if it's easier, you can type in officialgc.com. They both take you to the same site, and you'll be able to get my music and everything. And right now, I'm currently working on a project that I'm going to need a $40,000 budget for, right? Before I would say, man, but if we want to do it right, and get this before the people that need to hear it, it's a lot of people that have not heard my music in a sense because I just haven't had the budget behind it, to promote it the way that it needs to be promoted. I've done a lot organically online, millions of views organically, but you're talking about putting a budget behind it. That's the right way to do it. So with this project, I'm working on a project right now that I'm going to need a $40,000 budget for, but it's called Battle Cry. Battle Cry. And this really the first place I'm talking about it, big bro. So praise be to Allah. Battle Cry is going to be. Huh?
How can people who want to contribute to that financial goal that you need to raise, how can they do so?
Yeah, I was about to try to skip over that because I ain't even want you to feel like I was trying to.
Listen, man. Listen, brother, it's real. I mean, listen, it is real, and I understand that. So for those of us who want to help, how can we?
Yes, sir. The same website, goldenchyld.com. You can donate via Cash App, you can donate via PayPal, and you can donate via Venmo, right? And if you don't have a lot to donate, the least you can do is go buy a t-shirt, a piece of merch, to support the brand. But, I know you got some people on this page, that's watching, that may be financially established, right, brother? So if you want to do that, praise be to Allah, Goalden Chyld.
Because I've seen some of the merch is God in the hood, right?
God out the hood, yes, sir.
God out the hood, so definitely. So, and we can follow you on. We got your Instagram, and go to his YouTube page. Let's support this brother, and I'll share it, and I'll even give a contribution, my brother. But thank you, man. Thank you for your spirit. Brother, when I come across good rappers and I hear some of this stuff that be on the radio, I get mad. And I'm like, damn, man, how this dude spitting like this and ain't on the radio, and they got somebody talk about moving like a snake. No disrespect to them, but I'm just like, come on, bro. Like, shake it like a snake. Come on. How's this getting constant rotation? But I understand. But my closing words to you, man, don't give up. Keep grinding. Cream rises to the top. Stay on after the broadcast. You may have got one of our hosts, one of the women behind the board. When she show her head, she wants to talk. She's been touched. Okay. She has a Holy Spirit. So we're going to go to these closing announcements. But thank you, my brother. And thank everybody.
Thank you, big brother.
Yes, sir. Thank everybody who's on as well. So we want to thank you all. We're going to go to our closing announcements. As always, we're in the process of working to pay off the mortgage for our building so we can do greater works to striving here in the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. And then in addition to that, we're also having our prayer line. If you need somebody to pray for you and your family during this time, send your name, submit your name, and we'll do so. And also, if you want to get any books and support your brother here's the books on Master Willie Muhammad, how to study. If you're in education, relationships, you can go to www.mosque46.org. Thank you all, and make sure you subscribe to NNV News Network. This is your brother Willie Muhammad, signing off. Peace.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.